All right, folks, welcome back to episode 55 of the Ginger Ball Podcast. A little bit of a hiatus there. The boys have been on the move for the summer doing some.
Not my fault. Not my fault.
Not Beck's fault. No, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even bring that up. No sleep issues for that. Strictly just, leisure time
Special.
special. But folks, NBA Summer League, LeBron James sweepstakes, Jaylen Brown is a Sixer. We still haven't talked about it. We'll get to that.
We haven't pod in 2 years.
Yeah, we haven't potted in 2 years, so everything's on the table here.
Yeah.
Kawhi deal breaking down. We should also get to that at some point, and then maybe some World Cup at the end. But Beck first, how you feeling, brother? Well rested?
Feeling great, man. Yeah, well rested for sure. If we tried to pod yesterday, I probably would have run into the same issue we did on Tuesday. But I'm here.
Special.
I'm alive. I'm well.
Let's go. Special.
Yeah, got 48 more hours in me until the next debacle.
Let's go. All right, so let's start off strong with the Sixers obviously making a huge swing for Jaylen Brown. We were not really on anyone's radar as a destination for Jaylen Brown. Obviously, he was getting shot by the Celtics. Everyone knew that. And we knew that the market for him was less than probably what a team should deserve for a player like Jaylen Brown. But what did you make of this deal where Jaylen Brown goes to Philly for Paul George, a 28 first that could convert to a swap if it's more favorable to Boston, Philly unprotected 31 first, and then a couple seconds that are further out? What are you thinking about this?
I feel like I look at it through a different lens than a lot of people do in terms of how I'm judging it for Philly. And I like it a lot for them just in the simple fact when you're looking at, you swap out Paul George, who's 34, 35 for Jaylen Brown, makes it easier to pivot off of Joel Embiid when that time does come. Because I feel like that may be sooner rather than later. If you're judging this trade off the fact of how well the Sixers do with this new core for the next 1 or 2 years, however long that lasts, because I don't think it's going longer than that with, the current stars that they have in the building. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think you have to judge this trade, or you're going to have to wait to judge this trade until you see how they look post Embiid or post Maxey or however that goes. But I think when you are able to get a better player who's also in his prime and is 6 or 7 years younger than Paul George, you take that one every time. And the draft capital really doesn't scare me that much. You never really know with the draft capital, though, like what that shit turns into.
Yeah, well, especially now with Adams NBA.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, currently I feel pretty good about it for the Sixers. And then for the Celtics, I don't really mind it that much either. They're very analytic pilled right now. You can just tell by everything they do. But I think you need to get a real guard in there. I think that's what they're missing right now. I don't like putting more of the onus on Tatum to do ball handling and get shooters around him. Like going more into the kind of, pure analytics, pure, shot diet kind of basketball that they're going for right now. I don't love it. I just think you leave so much variation for results in the playoffs.
Yeah.
More so than you would if you have a more structured team build with these are our guys. And also in terms of positions where we, you have a ball handler who's a table setter. I think that's still in even the modern day game of basketball right now, how it is in the NBA, it's still a better catalyst and predictor for how you're going to do in the playoffs. I think right now there's a large range of outcomes for how the Celtics season can end once they get to the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good assessment. I also on the Celtics side of it, I agree with you. I think Paul George alone in a vacuum I think it's a good fit in Boston. I think, as you said, they're really leaning into the Mazzulla ball threes and layups, and they're just going to go even further into that. It's less pounding the rock, as Jaylen Brown obviously got a lot of criticism for at some points during his Boston tenure. But yeah, I mean, it's variation. And to be honest, since they won the title, it's been disappointing in the postseason for Boston. It's losing to lesser opponents.
Greatly.
and it's really falling short in a lot of games that you should win, and a lot of times because the three ball's not falling. Obviously, Derek White, his shooting variance last season was like ridiculously all over the place and terrible for the most part, and especially down the stretch in the playoffs. But yeah, I think they're leaning further into that, which I think is weird out. You're also not. I mean, you go down a year in terms of contract by going to Paul George versus Jaylen Brown. He has one less year on his deal, but it's the same number essentially. So you're still paying a max level guy who's just much older. And as you said, like it's relying more on also some of these tertiary guys to even take like another leap. Like it's buying more stock in Peyton Pritchard. It's buying more stock in Hugo, which I do like Hugo. I think he's a good player, and I think there's more untapped stuff there for him. Shireman, like Tata, even like I think it's hoping that some of these guys take another leap. And I'm not there with like that being an avenue to contendership right now. And maybe that's not their plan. Maybe it's just make your books look a little less lopsided in the near future and you can sort of pivot out of this. But
I kind of think that is where they are though. But again, like not to bring analytics back into this full stop, but I think a lot of this trade discussion is kind of based around that conversation.
yeah,
And I think right now basketball analytics do a great job of being an indicator, or the ones that teams are using are a great indicator for how you're going to do over the course of an 82 game season.
yeah,
But in a playoff setting where it's a much smaller sample size, they don't correlate the way teams like Boston think they will. And I think they use the 82 game scope as what they're looking at more so than, how shit translates into playoff basketball. And I don't think there's any like good metric right now that really can help you with that, just because it's a lot of variation from year to year and it can become noise in
yeah.
that situation. But they do have a table setter in the building in Mike Conley. So
Special
if he's able to, not be played off the floor just due to being
Demon
a
Mike.
defensive liability in the playoffs, like he might be nice for them. And I would hope that he would get a ring. It just sucks that he's in Boston, so I can't really root for that now.
I
But
completely
that,
forgot he was there, dude.
yeah,
He's gonna
yeah,
play.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, I like that signing for them in that sense. Like, I think that gives them a different element if they're willing to actually use them on ball
Yeah, I think they will.
more,
I mean,
more so.
especially Joe Maz, like who I feel like he really rewards guys. I don't know. It'll depend what like the shooting looks like for Conley, which it wasn't bad last season, and he shot
It's
well in the playoffs last
Yeah,
year.
it's never gonna be bad. Like he's got a
Yeah,
good form and he's been a reliable shooter throughout
yeah.
the since
So
2016, really.
it's can he keep holding up defensively, and if he does, then Joe Maz is going to throw him out there. So yeah, I like that. And then also I was going to say because you brought up the analytics on the Sixers side of this. Obviously a lot has come out about like Jaylen Brown doesn't grade out analytically as well as maybe the eye test and how a lot of people have him. I mean, there was the report from Bobby Marks where some anonymous GM said that he would be the seventh best player on their team. I'd like to know what team that was. That's pretty funny. But what do you make of this sort of like outburst against Jaylen Brown from an analytic perspective? And do you think it holds any weight?
I don't think it holds any weight in Philly because I don't think it holds any weight in Philly if Embiid's on the court because
Mm,
we've never seen him in a system where the center is the vocal point of the offense. Like Jaylen Brown, like a lot of the analytics that don't like him come down to his turnover suppression
right.
on ball and his shot selection. Like that's a lot of it. Like
Contested shooting,
yeah,
yeah.
like he has the volume, but he doesn't have the efficiency that like top tier
Right.
engines have. But if you're playing through Embiid, like I feel like the turnover thing's kind of taken out of his hands, and he's proven to be a really good player. So that might even fix the shot diet kind of thing too. It comes down to how much he's gonna have the ball in his hands, but I think like at full strength, this Philly team, like you can't really take any of those into consideration because it's just a completely different team build than he's had throughout the entirety of his career in
Right.
Boston. Like, when have they ever played through a big man?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of really seeing what it looks like when it all comes together. And also, like, I hate always bring up the caveat, but like Joel has to play. And if he doesn't, then like none of it really matters. I will say though, I think something that is maybe not being considered enough about Jalen being in Philly now is like one thing that the Sixers have really struggled with is when Embiid does miss huge stretches, which like at this point you just have to factor it in as part of the season. when Embiid does miss time, having a guy like Jaylen Brown who A plays a ton of games and B wins more games than almost anyone in the regular season. And having someone to keep you afloat during the regular season when you're missing a star player and they have to sit out for extended periods of time and can keep your seed in like the top 3 to 4, regardless of what happens around them, I think is big. I think he can scale up, he can scale down in terms of like if you want him to be more on ball in some matchup versus you want him to sort of go off ball a little bit more and Maxey sort of leading the offense or whatever happens with Phylon if he's more initiated into the offense. And then Embiid as well, if he's running stuff out of the high post. So I think as a basketball fit, I'm interested to see what it looks like in practice. In theory, I really like the fit. I think he adds in the transition part of his game, I think will be hugely additive to this team. Him, Maxi, VJ running in the open floor will be huge. I think that's going to be electric. I think there's going to be nights where this team looks unbeatable. And then I think there's going to be other really human nights where the shooting's bad. You start to see the depth is not good at all. It's really bad
Yeah.
right now, which is part of the reason why we need a certain king in town. But yeah, I think Jaylen, the analytics thing, I get it. It's tough to disagree that he's probably a bit overrated in the public perception compared to what his analytics grade out to. Just in terms of like he was an MVP candidate, and I don't think either one of us really thinks he is a top 5 player in the NBA. I'd have him like around the 12-ish range, which like yeah, he's a little bit overrated from like an eye test perspective, but going from Paul George, who's like a top 30 guy maybe at this stage in his career,
Fuck, then, dude, he's
top
definitely
35.
that's you're on the higher end on him still if
I'm
you
saying
you
like
have him that high.
absolute when he came back from injury and he was like he had like or not injury when he came back
But
from
still, like
ketamine suspension.
I think you would you ask anybody, the consensus is he's like 50 at the highest.
That might be a little harsh on PG, but I agree. I think you
I
get
don't
what I
think
mean.
so. I mean I think the consensus is that he's a top 50 or below player.
Would you okay? So would you
I
rather
really
have
do. Like I don't think people rate him that high. And I'm not
okay?
even talking about like how I feel.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'd have to
then
do the
maybe I'm a
exercise,
little too
but
high on
yeah.
PG. But I thought PG was, and this is also what I want to get to on the Boston side of this. PG is still a very impactful NBA basketball. Like he outplayed Jaylen Brown in that Boston series and Tatum to some degree. The problem is he's 36, and in the next series he got abs like he looked like a shell of
Yeah,
himself.
man, he was really good in the first quarter. I think the Knicks series really exposed everything about him that at this point of his career is
It's
or his
short
deficiencies.
stints.
Yeah, he can't scale up for
Hmm.
even a full game
Yeah.
sometimes though in
Yeah.
the in those moments.
Definitely.
Between him and George though, like what are the pros to what like where do you get better from what Brown brings and where do you feel like you get worse if there's any areas
I
with
think where
Brown
you'd
you've
get
done it?
worse is defensive versatility a little bit. I think Paul George was a hugely underappreciated defender last year, and even when the offense wasn't looking good, I think he holds up defensively always, and he can guard multiple positions. I don't think Jalen's a bad defender. I
Yeah.
don't think he's as impactful on that end of the floor. So that would be the one thing that I would sort of say the Sixers are losing in this deal. I would say though, offensively, I think it just gives us so much more variety to the offense. It gives you a guy who can initiate offense in a way that Paul George couldn't do. It gives you a guy who I know that like we sort of clown like the ball don't stop kind of like ideation of, the Hooper ISO guys, but like having guys who can get isolation buckets and score when things get difficult in half court is a really important skill. And Jaylen Brown, albeit not as efficiently as the top guys in the NBA, is a good isolation scorer. And he's great in transition, and he pairs really well that way with VJ and Maxi, as I said before. So I think in all those ways, he's immensely additive and a huge piece for the Sixers team.
Yeah.
And then I
The
just think,
I agree with you on the transition thing. I think it's the biggest positive with them in the building. And the Sixers have done a good job at kind of pivoting to more athleticism ever since getting VJ in the draft last year. I
yeah,
think it's been the biggest plus for them. One thing with George that George the Brown that I feel like maybe you're not underselling, but this point hasn't been brought up by many people. Like Paul George, a lot of his touches for the Sixers, like when you would have Embiid at the top
yeah,
on the 3-point line, like center, you would get George post touches.
yeah.
And I don't think Jaylen Brown's the type of guy who really has that kind of volume out of the post. And you don't really have a guy now besides Embiid who you would look for in like for any post touch to initiate offense out of. Does that?
You know what's actually an interesting wrinkle to that question is last year, you know who weirdly had like a sneaky
I
post
know
game?
you're gonna say Watford
No,
probably.
Tyrese. Tyrese had a very sneaky, like post up smaller guards game that I think is like could be untapped a little bit more. He's more physical than I think he gets credit for, and he'll really get into people's chests. And
Definitely, because I didn't realize that at all. So
yeah, I would say that's something that I would be interested to see if Nurse plays around with a bit more. But yeah, I agree with you. I think in like the mellow style of like catching with somebody on your back and like facing up that kind of game. Yeah, I think Brown is the closest thing to that, but that's not really his game, and he's not as smooth of like an operator out of that sort of role. So yeah, that's another position on the floor where you're like we might have to play differently offensively, which I think will be
yeah.
part of this. Is like Nick Nurse is, and also like bringing Nick back is interesting because you're gonna have to revamp the whole thing, and like maybe that's good for him because I don't think the offense was.
Yeah, I never loved the marriage with the new guy running the show in the front office though, and keeping the coach. It feels like a recipe for him to be
Yeah,
gone next offseason.
I didn't love
You're
it.
kind of asking for it, and
Yeah,
I hate that because then you give yourself like multiple off seasons where you have to change shit up,
yeah,
where you can
like
just
drastically.
yeah, and it's not like really good for anything. I don't
No,
think that's ever been a benefit in throughout the history of the league.
yeah, and I don't know that part of it also is like very Sixersy under Josh Harris, where it's like, for example, the Bob Myers thing. It's like we're gonna have Bob Myers in this like weird pseudo mega GM role that like he's not really doing any of the day-to-day stuff, and then we're gonna have Gansey under him and Jameer under him, and we had Daryl and Elton before that. That
I think you kind of are underrated. Like I think Myers is probably doing a good amount. I
no,
just
I
think he
think
wanted to
he's
be out of Golden
involved.
State.
I think he's involved, but
I really think he wanted to get out of Golden State at all costs. I
I
think he
think
was
this
tired
is
of dealing with
Gansey's
Blake.
team though. I think this is Gansey's team.
I agree, but I think like I would say Bob Myers is involved in the day to day like proceedings.
Yeah, not yeah, even to his admission, I listen also brutal listen. I hate to like put other pods down, but they're big
Dude,
enough.
Max Kellerman and Rich Paul pod, is that what you're talking about?
It is
It's
a
the worst of all time.
horrendous listen.
It's the worst of all time. No,
Dude, it's
like, I
bad.
am not afraid. I'm telling you, this is a clutch
They're
sports
big
bullshit.
enough that like it's not gonna matter. Like it's not like we're tearing them down. But like, yeah, man, like I listen to Bob on that pod. First of all, the dynamic of that show. This is the first time I've seen clips. First time I've ever like
No,
sat
I think
down.
Kellerman is really bad too. Like he's really
Kellerman's
bad.
Kellerman's fine
He's a
as a
clutch
media
sports
personality.
glazer. He's a clutch sports glazer. You
Yeah,
can't put him in the building with
the dynamic
another
is
clutch sports
so
guy.
strange. You've listened or you've like seen clips at least?
Yes, because I mean they're all objectively just bad, and it's just dick eating at the end of the
Yes.
day. Like for lack of a better term, it really is like Kellerman. It's like feeding a crack baby crack.
Crack baby crack. Special.
I hate to put it that way, but like he's an addict for.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets a hard on for clutch, and you put literally the face of clutch besides
Yeah.
LeBron in his face. Yeah, it's not gonna really breathe objectivity at all.
Yes, right. And that sort of like that was my issue with the interview with Myers, and I actually turned it off like 35 minutes in because it sort of got derailed. What I wanted out of it was I wanted clarity on what the Sixers like vision was for getting LeBron. And maybe he eventually gets to it. I just like couldn't sit through it. And I wanted like some actual like back and forth. I knew Rich wasn't going to really talk about much because he's an agent. He like can't get into that stuff publicly. That like it's just bad for his business. It doesn't make any sense. But I thought Kellerman would try to like pry more out of him. It was literally them going back and forth and Kellerman being like he did ask the analytics question about Brown, to which Myers said that like Klay Thompson graded poorly analytically, which just like wasn't true. But then it just got derailed into like them talking about how to build a team or something. It was like very like surface level bullshit. But Myers
Yeah,
has like really given a lot of credit to Gansey publicly about like his team building and has made it appear at least that it's Gansey's operation and that he is like essentially a consultant. So
yeah,
like
but that's because they're aligned with how they like view the game.
right.
I think a lot of the reason he left, that actually the full reason he left Golden State is just because he was in a battle with fucking ownership,
Yeah,
and him and
with
Lacob did not
Lacob.
see eye to eye at all.
Yeah, yeah. And also like the role he's in now is so money for him. Like he doesn't have to deal with any of the backlash of any decisions that happen.
Yeah.
He can just be in this like role above everything where him and Harris are boys. They're part of the ownership group with Washington too. Like that's never gonna splinter unless there's like a business situation there. And then he can kind of just like purvey the operation and like put in his 2 cents. And if he and I don't, my thing is I don't know what power he has essentially or power he wants to have. It's not about like the capacity for him to override anything. It's like I don't know if there were like like the Jaylen Brown trade, for instance. Is that all Gansey going to him and being like, there's an opportunity to go get Jaylen Brown. We should do it? Or was that Bob Myers saying to Gansey, go get that guy? Nobody else is putting up that much in terms of capital. Like, that's what I don't know. And then we probably will
Yeah,
never know.
I agree. And yeah, well, we won't ever know. I just think the building in terms of like the power structure and the guys who have say there, I think they're all very aligned with
Yeah.
how they view the game. So it can't be that much of a, you know, difference between person to person, which I think is a good thing for them.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, we don't really disagree on
Yeah.
this as much as I thought we
And
did.
that was also like, we talked about this when we hired Gansey on the pod, where like, we were worried that they were bringing in a new guy, a new face, as like his first time being a GM slash president of basketball ops, where like he would just kind of be the yes man running the operation for this established crew that was already there and Nurse included. So I'm interested as like we learn more and more about Gansey and see more of his moves, like the kind of guys he targets. We know in the draft he went with a very hooper pilled guy, which is like that kind of blew me away. I'm not gonna lie. Like the Phylon pick, and we'll get into his summer league performances like that really was like not the type of player that I was expecting us to target. I thought Cam Carr was like locked and loaded. Like him dropping to us was it was a foregone conclusion.
More the reason I think Nurse will be out the door, barring them exceeding what I think they're going to do, just because it's not a type of guy that Nurse
Right.
really
I'm
usually
worried he's
bends
not
the
going
knee
to
for.
play Phylon, especially with Simons in the
You,
house.
you, you saw today, he called him a rotation player, right?
Yes. Well, but I don't. Yeah,
It's just funny.
it's weird to say. Yeah, I agree.
It's not like a rave review,
No,
which
yeah.
shows that he's like
For a
it's
first
very
round
surface
pick,
level
too.
and it's reading a lot into coach speak, but like you just know he's not like usually like if a coach is all in on a guy and that's like his type of guy, he's gonna be like, yeah, he's our microwave off the bench, or like
Or he'll say
something.
like he can fight for a spot.
Yeah, it's
Shit
something
like
that
that.
something a little more than
Mhm.
a bland rotation player. Like
Yeah. I don't even get why you feel the need to say he's a rotational player. Like how does that help anything? Like that doesn't
well, he
help.
gets asked a question. That's his like attitude when answering questions. He got
Yeah, he's
asked it, and
very
that's how he
matter of
answered.
fact.
But like, again, it just points back to like that's the one place I think they really screwed up this offseason so far is not.
Not sacking Nurse.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they brought him back, and yeah, but I will say like it brings up another situation with Phylon, and I wanted to get into this because Phylon has had. We'll just segue this into the summer league segment. Phylon has had some really good performances in summer league, and I don't really think summer league is like the best indicator of how a player will turn out, but like it is it is a bit vindicating to see him like really dominate some of these games in terms of his playmaking, in terms of being able to create his own shot. He's also held up well defensively. Like he's been
we
really
always
good.
say that, but like nobody off the top of their head can tell me a guy who performed really well in summer league
Denzel Valentine?
and went. All right, yeah, I mean, there's one, but like you
Yeah.
ask the average person who says this shit, they can't name you five people who like
Yeah.
do well in summer league and just were an abomination in the league.
Yeah. That's true. And there's not many that like and this is also what I want to get to with Koa Pete on the Suns part of this is there's not many guys that star in summer league that aren't, let's say, rookies. We should also note because there are guys
Yeah.
who are a little bit older who star in the summer league and then they
Yeah,
just end up
we
being
don't give a fuck about
fringe
that
guys,
at that
right?
point. Yeah, yeah.
If rookies star in the summer league, I feel like the hit rate on them being at minimum rotation NBA players is very high. Cause like those are your like a lot of these guys are who you're fighting for spots. And like it's there are established guys, the stars, and even like the established rotation guys who will sit out. and there are some guys that should play that sit out. But there's
Yeah.
NBA guys in this league. So like yeah, I think it's promising. Because we're talking about summer league, who are some other guys that you were sort of inspired by or felt look good in these games?
Well, you mentioned one, Koa. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, man. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize he had this kind of juice as a passer. That's the best part about it to me. With his game, like he gives me I know I jokingly and was kind of mockingly comparing the Cam Boozer to Brandon Clark. Like
Right. Yeah.
but Koa Pete is like Brandon Clark with court vision.
Yeah.
He gives me
And
a
like
lot of
can
that.
stretch the floor a little bit more, hypothetically. I mean,
Yeah.
the shooting's not great right now, but
Yeah, he's more fluid with the ball in his hands
yeah.
for sure, which is a huge difference. But like the places where he gets the ball on the floor, I that's a lot of the spots that Clark would get the ball, and then his shot it's kind of the same. Clark was more of like a push floater
Yeah.
shot kind of guy, but Pete has shown off a lot of shot making ability with like kind of a fadeaway post shot. It's not really a
Yeah.
push shot where there's forward momentum, but like falling away, he's shown shot making ability in the first 2 games with that as well. But his court vision is just really screams like the cop you're seeing a lot right now is Aaron Gordon,
Yeah.
and I see that.
Yeah, I
I
can't
definitely see that.
unsee it. Now that I've heard the comp,
Yeah.
like when I watch him, I can't unsee it.
So yeah, I've loved him. I thought for the Grizzlies, a guy who's not getting talked about, like Cam Boozer's been awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
And it scares me for them when like because always when there's something bright with the Grizzlies, they'll end up on the injury report with the reevaluated in 2 weeks injury, and I'd get really scared for how grim it can get if that happens to Boozer. But a guy who hasn't been talked about for the Grizzlies summer league team, who I've liked a lot, really good in the Thunder game, and then he was pretty good in the Jazz game as well. Javon Small.
I love Javon Small. Yeah.
And with how bad, like I think they really need some
Yeah.
kind of point guard play on this team because I feel like Jerome he's a combo guard. He's not like a point guard. And I think this team badly needs point guard play, which is why I wanted Phylon at
Yeah.
20. I don't really want to go over who they took at 20.
You should be unnamed.
Yeah.
He's getting
Yeah,
the Voldemort treatment.
redacted. But I thought Javon Small has been like he is the guy for them. I think that they will shock a lot of people this year.
I love Javon Small.
So those are my 2 guys. Besides, like I haven't really watched much summer league outside of those 2 teams. To be honest with you, those are the 2 teams I have stock in. So those are the 2 teams I'm watching. But I mean, I've seen DP look fucking amazing in highlights. He looks great.
AJ.
Caleb Wilson, 35 against my Grizz. Like he was awesome. The Bulls have a lot of guys who I think you can be positive about as well. But I'm interested to hear some other guys from you because I feel like you've been a little bit more versed in the games you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, not a ton actually. I watched the Sixers just because I really wanted to watch Phylon, and I also just love watching him play. And I don't think he's gonna get a ton of opportunity this year, so I like need to get all these games in. But yeah, I think Koa was a good shout because that's one that really surprised me more than anything. Like I knew the athlete he was. I watched him a ton at Arizona. Like the shot was not great, and I was concerned about how that translates. Still a little bit am, but yeah, I agree with you. I think his ability to pass the ball, his ability in the baseline spot, dunker spot, to just catch and dunk and be an athlete and do things on the basketball floor that contribute to winning, I think will make him stick around.
Yeah, and just one more point on that. If him and Malawatch both translate and are good this year, like
yeah.
their front line issue that I talked about potentially being an issue is completely gone to me. Because Malawatch has the size, and then you add depth with Pete being a rotation player for them, and then you have Oso still. You have Goodwin, who's going to play minutes at the 4.
Yeah.
You have Mark Williams, like he turns into like a good front line rotation from where I was feeling a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And Koa in a good way can do like wing stuff too. So it's like he can be a smaller lineup big, or he can be like a wing in a bigger lineup if you want to go more jumbo. And Malawach was one of my other guys. I think he's been awesome. I love the tools with Malawach. I think the shooting tools are real. I think he's gonna end up being like a 30, like low 30s 3-point shooter, which like as a 7-2 guy who moves fluidly, protects the rim incredibly well, is a great rebounder.
What kind of volume? Like
not high volume. Like
then I think he can be higher than low 30s. If you're not going to put
percentage wise,
yeah,
that's true. I guess that's true. If it's low volume, it could be higher. I think the form is really smooth, and I thought that coming out of Duke, his mid range was always really smooth. It's just stretching it out. And then he catches and dunks everything. Like, and there's a place in the league for those guys who protect the rim, dunk everything, rebound. I can't see a world where he's not at least a decent NBA center.
Yeah,
Like,
I like their process with them to take it slow. It seems like
yeah,
that really has worked wonders. They're gonna be good, dude.
I
They're gonna
agree.
be a good team.
I'm excited about the Suns. That so those two guys were big.
Mhm.
Christian Anderson, early returns from him in summer league. The passing is pretty nuts with him.
Haven't
I
seen any of him, so go
and
on with
that's one
that.
of your guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially I was watching. They got kind of spanked against the Celtics, which they have a couple other guys that have been playing well. But Anderson, I knew he could pass and play make. He did that at Tech. The shooting was what I really loved about him, but some of the passes he's throwing, he caught one where somebody threw him out of the paint back outside, and he caught one hand and just threw one across the court to someone for an open three.
Wow.
And I was
That's
like,
awesome to hear.
that's like high level stuff. And then
Yeah.
there was another one where he's on like a pseudo fast break where there's a couple guys back. He starts to turn the corner like he's gonna drive, and then there's a Tijon Saloon who brutal. He's trailing for an open three, and without looking, Anderson just flicks one over his head back to him, and he gets a wide open look, bricks the shit out of it. But Anderson, I'm moved by him. I think he's going to be good.
So
Saloon
you
is a
buying him as
disaster.
you buying Anderson as like because we were concerned about the Hornets with
I think they're going to need him to be, dude.
yeah, at that point,
Like,
if he's showing flashes of it, like at least there's something to be optimistic about because I really didn't think that dimension of his game was going to translate at all. But if it's showing in the summer league, at least there's something there.
there's signs. I
So,
mean,
yeah,
I think the playmaking, the scoring is something that you could bank on with him. It's they also are paying Kobe White now, so it's going to start with him being the point. And I think that's going to look funky. And then I think they're going to eventually try to turn. I mean, Charles Lee's a really smart dude. Like I think he'll figure out what works best for this group. And I think it might end up being Anderson being their point.
yeah.
And
Because
we'll
Kobe
see.
White has like your offensive engine.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
just it's capped. It's capped.
he's a combo guard. Like
Yeah.
teams have tried this before and it just doesn't work. They're gonna try it.
Teams. Yeah, the Bulls tried it, but like we know the deal.
Yeah. No, I didn't even mean with him specifically,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Bulls did try it
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
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 And then they tried it again with Giddy.
Yeah. There's still active. I mean, well,
Yeah, they're
remains to be seen, but
fucking A.
he might be China bound.
He might be, dude. But yeah, those were my favorites so far. Also because of landing spot. I thought Sinak, the shooting with him looked pretty fun. I'll have to see more of him. I have concerns about him. I just when I watched Houston, I was never incredibly impressed with him. But I think early signs, if the shooting's there, he fits their system really well.
Perez shouts.
Merez, dude. Yes, good
I didn't
call.
watch that game, but I saw the highlights.
He looks I mean, also again, we have to keep doing the caveat. It's summer league, but he looks way more advanced offensively than I thought he was. And maybe that's all just like how many guys there were at Michigan. And it is like something that Dusty picked him of that group as the guy to take. They were all on the board. And early returns of his offensive game, which isn't the best part of his game, like the defense and rebounding and his athleticism is the best part of his game. If he has that much of like a kind of high post bag slash being able to shoot the ball the way it looks right now, I mean, fuck, I
Yeah.
don't know.
That reminds me because I did watch the Warriors' first game.
Yeah,
The Axel looks fucking incredible.
he looks really good. I have no
Uh,
concerns about him.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he's so warrior system pilled to a T, though. Like
yep,
it'll be great there. Now the guys who are struggling, the two obvious are Mara. He hasn't
yeah.
looked good so far, which I'm holding out hope on him for that to develop. I'm a believer in him. And then
Yeah,
Acuff hasn't been good to me at all.
there's a couple more too. Yeah, what have you seen? Acuff's playing Devonta tonight, by the way. I'm pretty stoked for that. What have you seen from those two guys that you just said that you
Acuff
haven't liked?
defense is just,
Yeah,
I mean, there's multiple instances already where it's just like, what the fuck, man?
yeah.
And some of the like some of the shot selection is just off.
Mhm.
But I mean, he's going to be able to be an offensive engine. It's just like, what's the efficiency come out to in terms of, shot percentage and wise? Because I think he's going to be a high
Yeah.
turnover guy. I think that's definitely the scare with him. And then for Mar, it's just physicality based and not really imposing his will at all, which I think for big men, especially kind of European bigs, takes on. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm willing to buy his long-term stock with.
Yeah.
It's always like a hurdle for those
Yeah.
guys coming out.
I'm with you. I'm not as concerned about Mara as I am Acuff. I've watched a little bit of him. I've also seen all the clips that people are posting. Like the low light reels from his games are pretty funny just because like he moves a bit awkwardly, so like they look really bad.
Yeah,
Even
it's
though
pretty much a given if you're 7'4", unless you're
yeah.
like Wemby, and he still kind of moves awkwardly too. Like
Yeah.
you're not, there's not 7'4" guys who move fluidly in
Yeah. So it's like
2026.
it's like deer in headlights bad
Yeah,
when it, like
you're gonna have to wait 25 years on that. Like,
yeah. Yeah. So like I don't know. I still think like the passing tools have shown up in the summer league. I think like he hit some like ridiculous like little fades out of the low and high post. Shown some ability to stretch the floor. I'm not worried about him really. I think like maybe if you're one of like the people who are super high on him and thought
yeah,
he should have
I
been
forgot to say
like
one other too, Wogler. I bet.
yeah, that was one of my
Yeah,
other guys
yeah,
I was gonna say. That's a little bit of a concern to me. And then my other
yeah,
one was Nate Ament, but we knew the deal there.
yeah.
But Acuff,
But
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead. What were you
I
saying?
was just gonna say Wogler's like my concerns with Flemings are more so showing with Wogler than they
Mm,
are. Like Fleming's still like some of the shot stuff I don't love, but in terms of his ability to be a positive player, like his turnover suppression's really good,
hmm
and he's a high IQ and character basketball player. So at the end of the day, he's going to be impactful. I just don't love the fit with the Hawks still,
Yeah,
but Wagler, like he emphasizes pretty much everything I said.
yeah,
I was concerned with Fleming's about in terms of shot creation
yeah.
and ability to get a shot. It's really bad right now.
Does he look a step slow to you right now?
It's not. I think it looks like that, but I think it's a physicality thing.
Yeah,
Just
he
because
is
he's
so slight,
yeah
dude. Like, and that's the thing with Phylon too. That like that is a concern with Phylon is like he's like 160, and like what Wagler's in the same boat. Like he
But
plays.
Phylon has a special burst, like
Yeah,
Wagler doesn't. And but when you're Wagler's height at the position he plays, and you are able to impose physicality at all, then you're only going to look to take lanes when it's completely wide open. That's probably why it looks slow to you because he's literally avoiding contact at
yeah,
this point right now, which
yeah.
is a terrible thing for a guy in his kind of archetype.
Yeah, Wagler's was a really weird scout for me, and like I still don't
It was a
really
tough one,
know
yeah.
because he's so the tools are so tantalizing, but like the concerns are so glaring. Like they're like red lights fucking blaring in your face, bad
I said I didn't love him in the tournament, and I kind of fucking got bought in by
by his
the
performances.
people. Not even the performance, it's just the shit people say about him.
Mm,
Like the people who believed in him were really high on him,
mm,
and the stuff that they point to, like those tools have translated in the past. But when I watched him in the tournament, like even his good games, he doesn't jump off the screen.
yeah,
And like he never really showed me much as a shot creator. It's just I don't know. And I feel like I'm judging him too early too if I'm giving guys like Mara the benefit of the doubt, but I just hate avoiding contact
yeah.
on drives as a player in his
And if
shoes.
you're a bigger guy, if you're a bigger
Yeah.
guard, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And for going back to Acuff, yeah, the defense stuff is really bad. I said this after the draft night pod we did that I think the Kings defense is going to be the worst in the NBA. It certainly looks that way. Nothing is changing my mind on that front.
At least
It's
DeRozan's
early.
gone.
Yeah, it's early, and I think like part of it is literally just like him switching off, which I think can maybe be fixed. That's also like that's as much of like a coaching thing as it is like also like a mentality thing though. So like that's the one concern you'd have is like he just doesn't care about that end of the floor, which like
You can
he
run,
might
but you can't hide in
yeah, and like he might
2026.
not be able to like coach that out of somebody. Them just
Yeah.
like not giving a fuck about getting a
Yeah.
stop. And like if that's the case, it doesn't really matter how special the offense is. You can't be that unplayable defensively. If especially if you're
No,
that fucking
I mean,
small.
I feel like to me that emphasizes how special the offense has to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has to
Yeah.
be like
Yeah.
1A, like
Yeah.
best player on a title team.
And that's the concern at this point because it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it will be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be ultra efficient. And none of what he does is ultra efficient.
Yeah. Also at his size, like it's tough. Like everything is a little bit tougher. And like people were in our mentions like pissed because we were talking about like size when we were doing our draft previews and stuff. And it was
Man,
especially
sorry,
when we
that's a
were
game nowadays.
and like when they were even saying it on the Brunson thing when we were talking about like how he overcame like his size as being like a small guard.
It's
And
a physical guard.
people were like, I'm done with the small guard thing. And it's like he's an outlier, man. Like the small guard thing is real. Like I'm sorry. If you're like a smaller dude listening and you're like, I feel like I'm getting shit on all the time. Look, Beck and I were small guards. We know. It's tough, man.
Yeah,
Like getting your shit
that's how
off.
I got played out of competitive basketball.
Me
To
too.
be fucking real. I mean, I was special in seventh grade, and I got cut for my defensive stance. So trust me, I know it more than fucking anybody else.
Let's go.
It's
Let's
been how I
go.
slide my feet the fuck out of here. Trust me. Yeah, if you told me this nowadays, I'd probably say, yeah, fair, Mr. Murphy or whatever the fuck your name is.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
you saw the future, man. You saw the 2026 analytics
You
basketball
did.
and for
You
the
saw it.
seventh grade Patton Hawks. But like again, like with Brunson, it's not even an outlier thing. He's a physical guard.
Yeah.
What does Acuff do that's physical like that? His shit is burst. He's like an Iverson. Like Iverson's the comp you'll get for
Yeah.
him, and it's all burst
And
and
shot creation on the
yeah,
perimeter. Yeah.
and quick twitch shit. It's not fucking bump and special
Yeah, he's
pivots.
a bad rim finisher, which was
Yeah,
what I said when we were doing our previews was like, that's my concern with him is like, if the rim finishing is bad and
the turnover rate's probably going to be high,
yeah,
and the shot of you're not looking to him to be like elite efficiency guy in terms of shot making. Like it's probably going to be a lot of nights where it's 8 of 20.
yeah.
And that's not good enough at the end of the day with all the other deficiencies we're talking about.
Also him,
So,
what do you think about him unloading the clip in game one? He was like 9 for 29 from the field or something.
I mean, he has to. I mean, that's his
Yeah.
claim to fucking fame. So I don't blame him. It's just like they got to go in.
I just like I saw that I saw the box because I watched like a little bit of it and then I saw some clips and then I saw the box score and I was like, God, that's not gonna do well like online. Like that is literally like everyone's biggest fear.
I'd rather him go out like that though than
Yeah,
be the guy who's making every pass when he should. Because to be honest, that's not why they drafted him. They didn't
right.
draft him to be the make the right play guy.
Yeah. No, they drafted him to be like a dynamic fucking superstar, which
Yeah.
like I mean, we're also this is so early on and like things can change. He can become more playable defensively, maybe. I don't think there's a world where he's a
There's not a world
even
where
net
it
even
happens in
defender. Like I
it's
think
not a world where
he
it
will
happens
be a
in
negative
Sacramento
defender.
being a bad team. Like the
Yeah.
stakes are going to have to be high for him to like care about that. And I don't think it happens in like the first two
The
years in
landing
Sacramento,
spot.
at least.
The
I mean,
landing
it's a
spot is
long build for
also
them to get.
I think it's just not a landing spot where like there are bad landing spots in terms of like team success where there are pieces in place where you can develop players and it looks better. Going to a bad team that like is in dire straits like the Kings are doesn't help develop a young player. And we've talked about this 1,000 times, but like I just hated this landing spot for him because he's a guy who's gonna need so much like he's gonna need like training wheels and like
100% low stakes basketball isn't a place where guys who don't care about defense are going to start caring about defense.
mhm.
Just
And it might be like he's an empty stats guy and we say like, oh, what if he was on a different team? And then he
yeah,
will
no,
get the move, and then all the defensive shit will show up.
yeah. The only positive about the Kings landing spot for him is that they have loads of bad defenders, so he
Yeah.
might not be the highlighted guy that teams are fucking going after.
Well, and
They,
analytically, it might not look as bad.
yeah, there's plenty of guys who are food.
Yeah.
Sabonis, Levine. Yeah, you still got those two in the building, so at least Acuff can have his possessions off.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those were the main guys I thought for summer league that kind of stood out in good and bad ways. Let's get into LeBron and let's just get through it briefly. And the question I wanted to ask you isn't about as much like the landing spots. We know that it seems to be Cleveland, Golden State, Philly, and Miami. But what I wanted to ask you is which spots make the most basketball sense to you for LeBron James? Because I feel like a lot of this conversation, especially like the stuff Wendy's reported about, like it just doesn't feel right in Philly, or like the vibes have always been that he's going back to Cleveland. Like outside of that, what do you think is the best basketball fit for LeBron James of like the remaining teams in the mix?
Yeah, so out of the four you said, it's Philly and Golden State by far. Miami makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I
Cleveland
don't.
makes no sense to me. I mean, I kind of talked about like what Philly to me was lacking without George, and LeBron fits that perfectly. It's a guy
Good
you can
take.
go to. Yeah. So I love that. And then Golden State, it's just like him, Draymond, and Curry. They have a good enough relationship where they can figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Miami is so bad. Like adding him to Miami, and you're asking LeBron to be your go-to shooter.
Yeah, he'll be your best
Like
shooter.
people don't realize that, right? Like that shit is that whole team construction for them to me is cooked right now. I hate their team.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland, it's just I don't want him there competing for a championship with that bad vibes team. It's fucking toxic. Yeah, I can't believe he's considering that,
What
dude.
if he fixes it?
No, he doesn't.
I don't think you can fix Harden
You,
though.
you don't you don't fix you don't fix like Mitchell like you don't fix any of that, dude. It's cooked.
I think yeah, I agree with you. First, let's get that out. No. Wait, one sec. I agree with you. I think I don't want him to go to Cleveland. I do think if there was anything that would change the outlook for Mitchell, it's getting like an alpha in the room. The problem is I don't like that didn't work with like the Luca LeBron thing. Like LeBron is also a guy who like I love LeBron. I think we all
He's the
love
ball in his
LeBron.
hands.
He's the GOAT. He's like a and also he's like a I'll take my ball and run guy if like the situation doesn't suit him. So like that's something that could blow up like fast.
Yes. No, Cleveland to me, like even with how bad I highlighted Miami is, might be the worst fit. Just because it's like, yo, when have one of Harden, Mitchell, or LeBron been asked or will have to be the third guy with the ball in their hands?
Yeah.
Too many cooks, man. There's too many cooks.
Yeah. And that
And
was
then
the
you're
go
just
ahead.
stunting Mobley's development even further, which
Yeah.
is like Cleveland's a terrible fit, man. And you're never overcoming the Harden thing. You're just never gonna.
I just that
LeBron will end up hating him like more than he hates Westbrook.
he might.
Fucking promise.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he might hate Mitchell more than he hates Westbrook. Like,
Yes, I agree.
like,
Fucking that sassy ass passive aggressive team will not fucking work.
and dude, like, he had Luka Doncic, who, like, in terms of the archetype of player, and like, they're like, if you really hyper fixate on the type of players there, it's very different. But like, Luka and Mitchell are similar archetype of like score first, ball in hand all the time.
And we're dribbling the air out of the ball, guys.
Yes, and like that's how we're gonna create offense. LeBron hated that. And like there were reports from fucking November about LeBron wanting out of that situation and like not feeling like he was in a role that best suited his abilities. I really don't see how that is any better in Cleveland.
When you have like arguably two of those kind of guys. Like
Yeah.
Harden's definitely more of a pass first guy now, but he still operates with the ball in his hands a lot.
Yeah, he's the
And
system.
also, I don't, you can't hide Donovan Mitchell. And like that doesn't help you hiding Mitchell and Harden on defense.
That's the
anymore,
other
bringing
thing.
him in.
Is LeBron your best perimeter defender too?
Yeah, probably. His team waits out of the building.
Like yeah, like
that's when you start playing
well,
Tyson
Max
and
Strus.
Max Strus too many minutes again.
Yeah,
Like,
Max Strus is probably. But
those guys turn into like 35. Like one of those guys turns into a 30+ minute game player for you, which isn't a Formula One. It's a bad fit. It's a terrible fit, man. Like you should be considering Minnesota over those two teams, which is the one thing from like the
I love that
Chris
fit, but
Paul
I
thing
don't think yeah.
I agree with.
Yeah. I just do you think LeBron's going to Minnesota?
No, but if we're talking about basketball fits, it's infinitely better than those two.
Yeah,
Infinitely.
that's one of my favorites. I think that's like a special fit. Just because like similar to Philly where like it's the clear as day position of need and also like the tools you need to be a contender. Like
and stylistically, man, like they're perfect in transition right now, but
yeah.
if their half court game, he can help their half court game too, even though LaMelo's been great.
He's also good in transition too. Like he doesn't hurt that side either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would love that. And maybe I just also could you see LeBron like wanting to play with LaMelo? I don't know if I could see that.
Yeah, I could because I think LeBron there for them, he solves this thing where they can actually play like a small ball five.
Hmm.
Think, and that's something he would be asked to do in the playoffs, and I love that for them.
Yeah,
Makes a
that's
ton of sense to me.
the basketball fit. I think makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. I don't think. I honestly would. I know Philly's been
Dude,
teased a
he
lot.
loves playing with JR. Like I think he loves kind
Yeah,
of irrational confidence guys.
I love that you went that
Yeah.
route. There's another word for it that we could use. Yeah, I honestly, the more this drags on, the less legitimate I think that. And I know Shams reported that like LeBron's taking us seriously. I really don't. I don't really think he's coming. Um,
Yeah, it's
I think he's going
right
home.
now. No, currently I think it's going to State. I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean
I don't think the Cleveland thing's happening, dude. Hey, if he thinks about it for long enough, which this is going to drag out till after the World Cup's over, I
yeah.
think 100%. I think he sees Golden State as more viable and more
I
of a
hope
want for
so.
him.
It's so much more viable. Like, and
There's
it's also like perfect timeline.
yeah, they care about legacy, and I there's nothing you gain legacy wise going back to Cleveland. It does nothing for the story.
Yeah,
The only thing is if he thinks it hurts his legacy going to Golden
that's what
State.
I think. I think
Yeah.
it. I think he might think it hurts his because he did like promise he would retire a Cav, and I think he might like because dude, you have to be thinking. He's also thinking about like documentary, like all this shit. His career, in addition to it being a basketball career, is like this film, this like bigger like thing. And he's a bit like this is what he cares about. I do think a part of him is like if I don't fulfill that promise, then like I'm somehow not being
Fuck that promise though, because you know how the film ends.
yeah, I think it's ugly. Or it's just like sad. And that's how I really don't want it to end is like he goes back to Cleveland and it's like just a he
And
goes
those
out
guys
really sad.
suck the fucking life out of him
Yeah.
immediately.
And then it's like whiny and like nobody's happy and yeah, that I think would suck. Miami, I agree with you. I just think the spacing in Miami would be so horrendous. Like
Yeah.
Bam, Giannis, and LeBron. Essentially like three similar kinds of I mean they I think LeBron gives you a lot more like wingy stuff and he can shoot I think not much more
But
reliably, but
he's never played as the best shooter on a team, so I don't know how
yeah.
much fucking true that is. But yeah,
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's I just don't I don't know if wherever he ends up, unless it is Golden State. I think that's a spot where that's like a perfect marriage of like he gets to play with Steph and he gets to fulfill like a legacy thing, and then he also gets like the it's a good basketball fit and he can contend. The other destinations to me outside of Philly, which I don't take incredibly seriously, unfortunately. But yeah, Mitchell also we should get to just signed a 4-year, $273 million extension, which also we should mention if LeBron goes there, that will limit their ability to make moves. Say he wants to play 2 years, which by all intents and purposes, he might.
no, he'll be
Um,
done after 1 year.
yeah. So that's another wrench.
Sayonara, my friends.
Yeah, so that's another wrench in the equation. But that's all for the NBA stuff. World Cup. We have the semifinals coming up here, Beck.
Yeah.
England, Argentina, Spain, France. That's fucking
Yeah,
blockbuster.
no, pretty star-studded Final Four.
Yeah, and it's the
Uh,
top four seeds in the FIFA
yeah.
rankings. So very chalky.
Yeah, I just can't believe Norway not getting Holland the ball in that break is so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, come on, no, that was legit. So
Yeah. So context on
you
that
got money on the
too.
game.
Yeah. That the dude who did that, Alexander Sorloth, he's a striker himself, but they've been playing him on the right wing because they have Holland. And he's just so bad on the wing. He's like to equate it to like basketball terms, it's like playing a center at like he's like a traditional center, like a Klingon type, as like a stretch four or something. Or like playing them as like a wingish kind of player. Like it's completely not a good role for him. And he's been pretty bad. And that
Is
was
that usually
just
the thing in soccer where like striker to wing never really works out,
it
or is
can
it
work.
some guys are just
It
shit?
works better with more versatile kinds of forwards. Like Thierry Henry could play on the left wing or he could play striker. Like those kinds of guys, you can do it. But like Alexander Sorloth is a huge like slab head, like fast run straight line kind of forward. Like he's a Holland, he really is like
Mm.
similar play style to Holland. But to fit them in, which national teams do, they played both. Yeah, that was frustrating. I was rooting for Norway in that game. I love the story for them. I think Holland also like has been pretty special, just like the media stuff he's done and everything.
Yeah, he got superstar appeal.
Yes. So like I was rooting for them hard. I thought they dominated portions of that game. My guy Odegaard from Arsenal was great in the midfield for them. But yeah, gutting way for it to end. Jude has been special though for
So
England.
special.
So good.
On both sides of the ball too, man.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he's
unbelievable.
incredible. Yeah, I think Argentina's due for a loss.
Yeah,
Big
I
time.
would agree with you. So let's go through our picks
Did
actually.
you say England Spain in the final preview?
I That's what I have in my
I
that's
gotta
what I
think
have in
that's
my
how it
bracket.
goes. I think Spain will beat France, and I think England's gonna win.
I
So
like that.
I agree with you there. That would be wow. Your PR would go up heavy. I'm
Special
ready for
PR.
you, bro. Yeah.
I picked the number like 2 and 4 teams in the world to be
I
in the
mean,
final.
but still, I mean
Yeah.
that it's not like England's got it done ever before.
Yeah, no. I mean 1966 was their last World Cup win.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a bold prediction.
Do you think they have a chance to win it?
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm picking them to get to the final, so yes. But I would take Spain in that final
Yeah.
game. I think Spain's ability to limit goals. I mean, they have clean sheets in every game except the game against Belgium.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, their defense has been unbelievably good.
I I just think that's gonna be the name of the game for them, and you're gonna need. They definitely could get it done. Like Bellingham and Kane are guys who can just get goals kind of out of thin air,
Yeah,
which is probably like what would win a game in the final. But I just trust the kind of overall structure and the thing that Spain has going, and they're probably more talented than England to me. So
yeah. I think player for player they are. I England and Argentina is an interesting matchup as well because like I think what you said about Argentina being due for a loss, you could argue that England is too. Like they're two teams who I think have like scraped by to this point, and not that they haven't played well. I think both teams have like been incredibly opportunistic. I think England has, to me, looked better over the course of full matches than Argentina in the knockout stages.
but
But
besides the last two games, though, what are you really pointing to
the
towards England
Congo,
winning?
the Congo match in the round of 32, England was down 1-0 until
Yeah,
like
I
the
didn't tune into
80th
that.
minute. Yeah, it's just been kind of like even in the group stage, like they drew Ghana. They had a match against Panama where like they didn't look great. It looked like they might draw that game until they got a late winner.
Fair, fair.
So
Yeah,
like
fair point then.
but like those two teams are like in very similar spots to me. And then they also both have like guys who have just turned up in key moments. Like you said, Jude and Harry Kane. Jude right now is
Dude,
like,
much more so. He
dude,
was
he's making a
insanely
case for
special.
like one of the greatest England players of all. Like depending on how this ends, like he's one of the greatest England players of all
He's
time
already in the discussion, dude. I
as
mean,
like a 23-year-old.
they don't get this far. But yeah, I thought you were pointing to a little bit like they should have lost the Mexico game, but I thought Mexico played like such. They did the same thing over and over again
Hmm.
once they got the red and were a man up. Just yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna fucking kick it in the box with no regard for anything over and over again. I think they did that about 45 times
No,
in
yeah,
the
I
last
think I
30
think
minutes
that
of the game.
was I think that was England's best performance. I would point to
Yeah.
that as of this tournament. And I know people might say like the Croatia game where they won 4-2 as their opener. But for the first half of that game, they were really pedestrian, I thought. I thought that Mexico game going into that environment, getting punched in the mouth, conceding, and then getting a man sent off, playing the entire second half man down and winning, finding a way to win that game is one of the most impressive World Cup wins I can remember of like the past several. Like that's an incredibly impressive feat what they did in that match.
Yeah.
With
And
everything considered.
one thing that I think that like is a superpower of theirs that no other team has is their goalie has a fucking boot, man.
Yeah, Jordan
Like
Pickford.
if we're talking about a way that they like potentially could beat Spain and get a goal out of thin air, it's that.
Yeah, the
I mean,
second balls.
they got like three fucking great opportunities out of that against Mexico where he's just fucking launching it.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's a difference maker, man. It's a dynamic that you don't get with different teams.
yeah.
Something that Spain hasn't seen.
Yeah, and that's the other you're right. Like they've found ways to score. Also, it hasn't been the same kind of goal. Like it's not like people gave Arsenal shit because we scored a lot of like goals from set pieces, corners, free kicks. And England has found different ways to score. Like I know there was a sky cam controversy in the Norway game.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. That was
So like say what you will about that, but like it's a different kind of buildup. Like you build, you find Jude on the edge of the box and he kind of takes matters into his own hands. And then there's like other matches where it's like Harry Kane from a corner or they've had a couple pens in the tournament. Like they find different ways and it just feels like I don't know. I'm watching them with like the Wonderwall post game, like going to the fans. Like there's a feeling with this England group that like I'm warming to the idea of them potentially winning it. I agree with you. I would have whoever wins that Spain France game over them.
yeah. I'm definitely undermining France. I haven't mentioned them. We both haven't mentioned them once.
Yeah.
Do you think they like? Are you picking Spain right now? Or are you taking France? Or are you changing your?
Oh, see, this is the thing because I pick Spain. I'm so anti like changing, but we should say we talked about the England win over Mexico. France just like making Morocco look
Pedestrian as fuck.
really average is so impressive. Like that's a really good Moroccan side. And France just dominated them. There was never a doubt who was going to win that match, even after Kylian missed the pen. Like they got stronger after that. I think the shots were like 20-2, like just a complete domination, like a men against boys. So yeah, it is funny that like we spent all the
Yeah.
time talking about the other sides, but in reality, like they've been the
Yeah,
best
and they're
team.
also on a special fucking like their last two appearances before this, they won and then lost in the final.
Yeah,
They're on a special run as a country. Like
yeah.
it's one of the
So
most
it'd be
dominant
three
runs. And
straight finals if they were to
yeah,
win. Yeah, on
and
Tuesday.
has that even been done? Like it probably has been done like in the early
You'd have to date back.
iterations of the World Cup,
Yeah.
but like since the 90s, has that been done?
No, no, has not. No, I mean you'd have to date really. I'd
Yeah.
imagine it was one that was like a smaller format,
Like
and like
Uruguay
Brazil,
at the beginning, like
or
in the
yeah,
first.
yeah, like one of those. But yeah, I mean they're incredibly impressive. I think the attacking options that they have, nobody can match them. The one thing that I saw somebody point out today was that it'll be Luca Digne at left back for France against Lamine Yamal for Spain on that right wing. That is not a good matchup for
Mhm.
France. And like especially at that position, like to have Spain's best player have like a food option in front of him, like I think that's brutal for France and could be a deciding factor. I think that match is a coin flip to me. I think that's going to be like unbelievable.
Is there any potential Haram ball games?
Harambe, I
Yeah.
think France Spain could be less enjoyable of a watch than people expect. Just because how evenly matched they are. Sometimes matches like that are not as there aren't as many fireworks because it's not going to be like end to end free flowing like expansive football. It might be like you might be more reliant on a set piece here or there. Like it's so that could be Haram ball. England Argentina also could be a little bit like they could both be Haram ball at the end of the day. Like I think one of them will be. It also depends when the goals are. Like if there's an early goal in either of those, then things open up and
Yeah,
it's different.
yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, Argentina also are going to be a little like chippy, nasty. Like you'll see some cards in that one.
yeah.
Um,
The golden hands. Yeah, they're
yeah,
Israel.
little hand of God.
Yeah,
B
England
class.
versus Israel in the semifinal special.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think I'm over it. Mbappe's my savior. I'm so happy Pinaldo is gone because wow,
Let's
that
go.
team is, and he'll definitely come back for 2030. Don't
Oh
fucking
yeah. People
think
oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
twice
We
better.
should say people who are like believing him retiring after this, you're
Oh no, yeah,
insane. The
he
World
probably
Cup's
needs.
in
Yeah,
Portugal.
yeah.
His club manager at El Nasser is going to be the Portugal manager. He's coming back and he's going to
Oh
start.
yeah. Oh, Neymar's coming back too, especially after his weirdness at the end of the Norway game. Yeah, the legends of our game are all frauds. I think that's what we should.
That's
Except Mbappe. Thank you, Killian.
you killing it. Let's go. So you
Too good.
wait. So you're Spain England final?
Yeah, that's what I said, but no, Mbappe is my savior, and
Cheers.
it's France England in the final, and France breaks England's hearts.
Ooh, dude, how mad their fans would be if they
And then
lost in a World Cup final, dude. Oof.
uh,
Oof. The hater in me would love
yeah.
that. Especially the shit they've been chatting on us. But Yeah, I have England over Argentina. I think England's the better side. I mean, there's the Messi factor, which like he could just fucking do
Yeah.
some stupid shit and he could have a brace or something and score some banger.
I feel like FIFA's had to pull too many against us at this point already. I feel like all of them really like basing this off, which is, I mean, it's obviously complete bullshit.
Did you see the red in the Argentina Switzerland game for the dive?
I didn't see that, but like, I mean, the game against Egypt was really bad.
Okay, so well, yeah, that was crazy.
And
And the Egyptians out there, I'm sorry, you guys deserve to be in the next round. But in the Argentina Switzerland match, Embolo, the Swiss forward, was already on a yellow card. He dribbles around the left wing, and it looks like he gets fouled, and he goes down. He's like rolling around on the ground. They originally book the Argentinian midfielder for fouling him. They give him a yellow card, and then they go to VAR, and they determine that not only is it not a yellow card, it was a dive. There was no contact, which was correct. Like there was no contact. But then they reversed the yellow card and gave it to the guy who dove. And so that was his second yellow card. He gets sent off. That was then a red. Which
yeah,
like
I mean, that's incredibly bad, man. I wasn't as in tune in 2022 as well, but I went back and watched the game Argentina played Netherlands. Holy shit, dude.
oh my God, that was crazy.
Like that's that opened my eyes a little bit. I was like, damn.
Yeah, but it's also just like in theory it's the right call. Like you should get a yellow for diving, and like it was a second yellow. But
It's
you
just a
shouldn't.
precedent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are we just going to now, for every minor decision, potentially change the course of the match because we're going to go to VAR over like a dive here or like a
And
foul
I feel
there?
like the NBA and NFL for reviews, like they don't let you go back and completely
Yeah,
rewrite history.
yeah, exactly.
Like you're
Relitigate
reviewing, yeah.
everything.
Which in those sports you can argue that you should do it that way. In soccer is just kind of completely different.
It's just where do you draw the
Yeah,
line?
yeah.
Like that's what I think is a little bit scary about this is like the more and more we do this, which like I do think some of the rules for the World Cup are going to transfer over to domestic leagues, the more
But
reviews it'll
what's the
be.
differences
So like
between
they've
domestic and FIFA?
introduced so the reason that Embolo got the card is now there's a I forget what they call the violation, but it's like they actually use a really strange like almost legal sounding term. It's like
It's like a flagrant point system. Is that kind of what you're getting
no,
at?
no,
Or
it's like they call it like mistaken identity. That's what they've been calling it.
what the
Where
fuck?
where they reverse the yellow card and give it to someone else, which was actually put in place though to if like if the foul was on one person and they wrongly gave them a booking and should have given it to somebody else, that's what it was in place for. But they've been using it for fouls that are actually dives and flipping the yellow from the defender to the attacker who dove, which is just a circumvention of the rule. Like it's not really what it was put in place for. So it's like I don't know. Which like I think they might start using mistaken identity in other leagues.
When did what was the first call in this that kind of highlighted
Tim
that
Ream. It was
loophole?
the U.S. So there was Tim Ream. It was the U.S. Paraguay game, the first match for the U.S. Almiron for Paraguay was going down the right side. It looks like Ream takes him down. They book Ream. Then they go to VAR. They overturn it, mistaken identity, give the booking to Almiron for diving. And that was the
Got it.
first one. So that set the precedent. And then Embolo, unfortunately, was already on yellow. So he gets sent off for it. And
That's crazy.
yeah, so that sketches me out. And I just hate over refereeing, especially in huge moments like that. So yeah,
Yeah, odds on over refereeing to appear at some point during the
oh my
semifinals to the
God.
final.
Oh my God, 100% in the England Argentina
Yeah.
game. Like if a decision doesn't have a huge impact on that game, a refereeing decision, I would be shocked. Like shocked.
Yeah. I would
Which
too.
sucks. But yeah.
But also,
So-
it also kind of makes for good entertainment at the end
oh
of the day.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Which like is part of the game at the end of the day. As much as they
Yeah.
try to say it isn't.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I'm England on that side of the bracket. I went with Spain in the beginning. I'm gonna have to ride with them. I'm gonna stick Spain. I'm gonna go Spain, England, final Spain to win.
Not a bad call. You were Spain at the beginning as well?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
always had
yeah.
Spain. I'm not super confident in them beating France, but I think
Yeah, I mean that's a
gonna
tough game to call. It's strength versus strength.
Yeah, it'll be special.
And, yeah.
Sucks that they're like Tuesday and Wednesday during the workday. Also, these semifinals, but
Also gives life to the workday. Like you
yeah,
can
but
look
I'm in
at-
office. Like I can't. I'm like fucking on my phone or some shit.
Exactly, but At least, I mean, it dwindles your workday down a little bit because you're like, well,
This is
fuck it. I
true.
mean,
This is true. You're like, it's like 2:30. You're like, oh fuck.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be watching those matches Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the final on Sunday. Continue to watch Summer League. Yannick Sinner, Wimbledon winner today. Shout out to him. But folks, thank you for listening. We'll be back for 56 and see you soon.